Welcome, everyone. Can you hear me?
Speak up.
Yes. As we gather together at the company of grace, let's take a moment to arrive in this place and call in those who are gathering from afar. Take a deep breath in and gently exhale, letting your body settle and your mind soften. Whether you are here at Ignite Glass Studio in Chicago or joining from a city far from here, we share the same earth beneath our feet. And together, we pray.
We turn to the west, where the sun will be setting. We look that grounds ISP, on whose shoulders we stand, the great cloud who taught us to love and serve. Remember those we and let go, knowing that all things have their sunset. We also take a moment, all ISP friends who live in the West, the communities of San Diego, Orange County, the Bay Area, and Denver.
Together, we say, family to the West, we welcome you. We are grateful for you. We are one.
We turn to the north, where the North Star has guided travelers since the beginning of time. We give thanks for the North Stars of ISP, the Ignatian spiritual tradition, the community of those in 12-step recovery, and all who provide shelter, healing, and connection for people who are unhoused. We also welcome and call into the room our ISP kin from the north of this place, specifically ISP Twin Cities, Milwaukee, and Detroit, and as far away as Canada.
Together, we say, family to the north, we welcome you. We are grateful for you. We are one.
We face the east, where the sun rises each morning, bringing new light and the hope of renewal. We are grateful for ISP's growth, for those new to our organization, and for those preparing for their first retreat, our ambassadors of hope. We give thanks for the ways our inner fire is kindled. We also welcome our friends and family to the east, specifically ISP Dayton, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Washington, D.C., Providence, Ridgewood, Boston, and Rochester.
Together we say, family to the east, we welcome you. We are grateful for you. We are one.
Finally, we face the south, where we imagine we give thanks for our donor. Provide warmth, hospitality, body, and spirit. Okay, the support we receive so abundantly from you, flow through us to all those we encounter. We welcome our ISP family to town, ISP New Orleans, Atlanta, Houston, St. Louis, Louisville, and Oklahoma City.
Together we say, Family to the south, we welcome you. We are grateful for you. We are one. As we close our welcoming prayer and turn our attention to our celebration tonight, we gather around the symbolic hearth represented by our home here in Chicago, a place that unites us all in spirit tonight. God of goodness, who is as close to us as our own breath and present in every direction, be with us on our journey together and kindle within us the fire of your love at our hearth here at the Company of Grace. Amen.
Amen.
I expected a more emphatic response. Can we try this again? Good evening. That's much better. It was really hard to get you quiet. Now that you're quiet, I'd like to see a little more energy tonight. My name is Tim McCabe. I'm a Jesuit priest, and I work in Detroit with a program called the Pope Francis Center. We run a day center at St. Peter and Paul Jesuit Church, where we see about 250 to 300 people a day, providing food, showers, laundry, kind of basic services. And about a year and a half ago, we opened up what we call a bridge housing facility, which allows folks who are experiencing homeless to come off the streets and to transition or to bridge into permanent housing. But it's really a center for healing, as we understand homelessness as a result of trauma. And so the building, the programming is all done through trauma-informed approach. I love the ISP energy that's in this room tonight. And I noticed that my name tag says honored guest. I am honored guest. I am really honored to be here with you guys tonight, be a part of this gathering. I have some history with ISP. I got involved when I was studying philosophy at Loyola Chicago for a while, and then later during Regency, I spent a year working with the team in Pilsen. So great to be reconnected with this important work and to be part of this tonight. When you came in tonight, or as you prepared to join us from home, we want to acknowledge our people who are watching from their homes virtually tonight. You are invited to write down a name of someone who has been a light in your life on a paper flame. I've been asked to ask who I wrote down my AA sponsor, Rusty Morse. He has been a light in my life. He was with me as I struggled with recovery. He was there when my addiction took me and broke me into 100,000 pieces, and he has been with me ever since. Rusty has been sober for 41 years. He was at one time the prosecutors were pushing for life without parole as a habitual criminal. He had been a 4-time convicted felon, and now he, out of God's grace for all of us in recovery, he has become this incredible light, and not only to me, but to hundreds, maybe even thousands of men and women who have benefited from his sobriety. So those flames are now gathered up here alongside us on stage and will become part of our sacred story as we're sharing this evening. We'll come back to those at the end of the program, but for now, they're a quiet reminder that none of us go through this alone, that we're all working together, walking each other home. Tonight, we're talking about something that's complex and deeply human. We often hear the word homelessness, but even the word doesn't quite capture its full reality. There are incredible organizations that are doing essential work to help provide housing for people who are experiencing homelessness. But what we have learned here at ISP is that there can often be other layers of homelessness, loss of connection to others, to ourselves, and to our God. I often say in our work that people become homeless are homeless long before they actually are unsheltered. Because if we think about what home is, a place of security, a place of belonging, a place of encouragement, a place where with safety. So many of the folks that are living unsheltered didn't have that, and so they were homeless long before they ever ended up on our streets. So by sharing, ISP has created a space for people who are recovering homelessness and those who are struggling with addiction to begin to find their way back to themselves and to God and to community, back to their spiritual center and to the God that loves them unconditionally, not only loves us, but cherishes us. By sharing their own stories and sacred experiences, whether during an overnight retreat or around the reflection circle, ISP participants build trust and find healing and reconnect with the deepest parts of themselves. And then they pay it forward, as we're called to do, by walking with others on that same journey. So for the next hour, we're going to share that journey. We have about 150 people in this room, and there's about 200 people who are joining us virtually. In fact, we want to shout out to our friends in Atlanta and Houston and San Diego. Could we all give a big round of applause and wave at the camera? We're very glad you're joining us this way as well. Tonight's not about solving homelessness or finding a cure for addiction. It's about listening and learning and maybe seeing things in a little different way. For Catholics, I think we could call this synodality, a time for really deeply listening to one another and to our stories, and to allow those stories to help us become better people. But before we get too far into that, I'd like to welcome our Executive Director, Christine Curran, to the stage. Would you please help me welcome her? She will say a few words.
Thanks so much, Father Tim. I'm really delighted to be with everyone here tonight. It's been a long time coming. We've been working hard for preparing, so it's always just wonderful to actually see everyone here. And I was mentioning to a few people, it always feels like a bit of a reunion anytime that ISP gathers, and certainly that's no different tonight. And what's even better is that there's so many new people too that are able to meet and welcome to our community. So thank you so much for being here. I just put up my person, and I'll say it's Father Con Foley has been a light in my life. I was reflecting on someone who really walked with me when I first came to Chicago 17 years ago. I came to CTU, for those of you who know CTU, and met Con, and we became fast friends. I knew no one in Chicago. I'm from Connecticut myself. And he really helped me find my bearings during a time of big transition in my life when things were kind of uncertain about what would happen next and where I would go next. So I put his name on, and as I was reflecting this evening, I was thinking, I don't know if you've ever done this, but sometimes I look back and I wonder, where would I be if not for some of those people that walked with me and stood by me just when I needed them, made a big difference in my life. So I think that's one of the reasons I believe so strongly in the work of ISP. And just to say a little bit about that, and then we'll get to our program tonight. But one of the things I love about ISP is that we really lean into the power of relationships and real connection. At ISP, I've always marveled, I've been executive director for 5 years and been with ISP for about 10 now. And I've always marveled about how in ISP, we can really be honest about who we are. And we can be honest about our struggles. We can really tell the truth about what we're going through. We can be vulnerable. And this can make all the difference. It's made a difference in my life personally, and I'm sure it's made a difference in the communities you're a part of. When I consider the hope, though, and the aspirations of ISP and our mission, I often think of the ambassadors of hope. Ambassadors are ISP team members who are from all around the country, and we're lucky to have a few of them here with us tonight. These are folks that commit to an 18-month journey of spiritual formation, leadership, and service. They walk this journey 2 by 2, growing as leaders both in their communities where they're from and on the national network. This week, our third cohort of Ambassadors of Hope are here in Chicago for their closing retreat. And in the months ahead, they will complete capstone projects in their local cities across the country. So I'd just like to take a moment to ask our ambassadors to stand and so that we can acknowledge you. And thank you for the better mic. Hopefully that works. Thank you so much for lights. Is this better or was this worse? You'll let me know. Thank you for being a light that kindles other lights across our network. Thank you, ambassadors. I'd also like to take just a moment to thank some of the people and organizations who helped make this evening possible. Please give a hand to both our Company of Grace host committee and our generous event sponsors for this evening. We are especially grateful to our Torchlight sponsor, Ignatian Spirituality Center at St. Thomas More in St. Paul, Minnesota, as well as our Floodlight sponsors, Peggy and Pat Burke, the Cincinnati Jesuit Parish Family, and Lead to Change. Thank you so much for your generosity and support. Finally, as a volunteer-driven organization, ISP's work is only possible through the efforts of hundreds and hundreds of volunteers who facilitate retreats and reflection circles around the country, as well as our incredible board of directors who help guide our mission. Some of these folks are in this room and many are joining online, and all of you are critical to ISP. Thank you so much. So I'm just here to thank you again and to say enjoy the evening. And I'll call Father Tim back up to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Now I'm going to trade my MC hat for a seat at this next conversation. And I'd like to invite our guests to join me on stage. Christine, Reggie, and Lisa, would you please come up and join me? Let's welcome them as well. It's assigned seating, so make sure you get the right one.
Testing.
So I'm grateful to be a part of this conversation with all of you who bring such a wealth of experience from the forefront of the work to fully end homelessness, one of the most complex issues of our day. I'm honored to introduce our guest speakers, Christine Haley, Reggie Morrow, and Lisa Wilson. Christine, the first chief homelessness officer, over 2 decades of experience in housing and public health policy. She began her career as a Jesuit Volunteer Corps member and has spent her professional life building systems that keep people housed. She's co-chairs an advisory council of faith leaders, nonprofit partners, and policy experts working together on long-term solutions to homelessness. Christine. Reggie Moore here is an ambassador of hope from right here in Chicago. He went on his first ISP retreat in 2022 and is now a volunteer facilitator on the Chicago's men's team, creating the space he once needed for himself. He works for the CTA. Lisa Wilson is from my hometown, Detroit, ambassador of hope in Detroit. Went on her first ISP retreat in 2023 and now serves as a volunteer facilitator in Detroit, walking with others through the practices that transformed her own life. She is now a direct care worker for people with disabilities and says ISP makes her a better mom. Lisa Wilson. So let's just jump into here. There are a lot of organizations doing the hard, necessary work of helping people to find housing, work that matters deeply. And what ISP does, it comes alongside of that and focuses on something a little less visible, but just as important, and that is spiritual care. To feel at home in the world, but in our own bodies. The short video gives a glimpse of that. Let's watch together.
Homelessness means more than that. Homelessness is lacking a roof, but also a connection. For oneself, to a sense of something bigger. The Ignatian Spirituality Project is
Practice a spirituality of imperfection.
Yeah. Organization that sparks hope. Well, a building, a shelter. Homelessness means more than that. Homelessness is lacking a roof, but also a connection to a community, to oneself, to a sense of something bigger.
The Ignatian Spirituality Project is an organization that sparks hope and transformation in people recovering from homelessness and addiction. This spark can light other fires. The ISP experience begins with a retreat or spiritual reflection circle, building from the 500-year-old tradition of Ignatian spirituality and the contemporary language of 12-step programs. ISP invites individuals of all faiths into a setting where they can experience community, healing, and hope. Ignatius of Loyola, once a soldier, then founder of the Jesuits, was a man with his own troubled past who found a higher calling. He discovered that even with his struggles, he was still worthy and lovable and belonged. He found true freedom and wanted others to experience this gift. He wrote a set of meditations, prayers, and spiritual exercises that foster and cultivate a relationship with the divine through discernment, the gift of finding the path to one's true home. When a person sits in a chair with ISP, they belong. They join a growing network that includes hundreds of volunteers, thousands of former participants, and spans more than 20 cities. Together, we are a fire that is kindling other fires. Together, we can light the path home. Let's build new hope together.
Well, the idea that a home is more than a place is really at the heart of what we're exploring tonight. And with that, let's get the conversation going. Christine, I'd like to start with you. And I'm curious from your perspective in your work, what feels like the most important elements of your work right now, especially in this time that feels very urgent and complicated?
So as I think about our approaches to ending homelessness, I recognize that a lot of my formation has been based on Jesuit traditions. So I'm a graduate of St. Ignatius College Prep here in Chicago. As we talked about, I was a Jesuit volunteer in northern Chile. So I was in JVI, where I worked at first a drug and alcohol rehabilitation center that was founded by Padre Hurtado, who is now a saint, who was a Jesuit, and then worked with families who were experiencing homelessness, who were unsheltered, that were living in a dried out riverbed, who built their homes out of corrugated tin and boxes, and then left Chile and JVI and moved to Chicago and worked on the west side of the city, where I worked with families experiencing homelessness in our city, and was really struck by the difference in wealth and the amount of wealth that we have here in the United States compared to Chile, and really decided at that point that I wanted to dedicate my career to understanding the policy drivers of homelessness, in that I understand very clearly that homelessness is an economic justice issue. It is a racial justice issue, and and I have that understanding and desire to work in it based on my foundations and understanding the preferential option for the poor, and that it was my role, my foundation to continue to work in this field. And I think that I very much find that in our work that we need to alter our frame in understanding homelessness and housing insecurity as economic justice, because for the most part, people who become homeless, it's really driven by their financial situation, right? We have plenty of folks that have substance use disorders who never become homeless, people who have trauma who never become homeless. So it's really those who don't have the financial safety nets to withstand a crisis are those who become unhoused. And so it's our work to be able to understand that we are all part of this economic safety net. We are all part of this housing system. Those who don't have a home, to those who are at the risk of losing their home, to those who have are homeowners, to those who have multiple homes, to those who invest in or are beneficiaries of venture capitalist firms that buy housing to make a profit. We are all part of the same economic system. And that those who have the least resources are those who become unhoused. I want to, so I think that I do recognize the important place that ISP plays. I myself have benefited from many retreats within the Jesuit tradition, from silent retreats on Holy Week when I was a Jesuit volunteer, to going to the Manresa House in Detroit, in Michigan, for a divorced person's retreat. That was very beneficial for me personally. So I recognize the need for and the support for addressing spiritual needs in our life, and the importance that we have, and the importance of this work. So in 2021, I was appointed by Governor Pritzker to lead the state's work on ending homelessness. So I lead the Illinois Office to Prevent and End Homelessness, which is our state's policy and planning body. We spend about $750 million at the state level around addressing homelessness. And so my job is to understand how we align state resources, how we advance policy that will end homelessness, and create a stronger safety net for people. If we think about what is most urgent right now, one is that the safety net is at risk right now because of what is happening at the federal level. There are many issues around changing the way in which homeless housing programs are funded that could result in the loss of, here in Illinois, about 3,500 people who are currently housed losing their apartments, right? So that is a major issue. We're concerned about people losing SNAP and Medicaid as new SNAP requirements are starting in May 1st to be implemented. So there are about 13,000 people who are currently unhoused in Illinois who are at risk of losing their SNAP benefits starting in a few weeks. But I think what's really urgent is the fact that at the state level, I have allocated part of the budget that I manage to shelter programs that have shut down because of community pushback. So I think that we have here in Chicago an example in Hyde Park, on the south side of Chicago, an upper middle class neighborhood on the south side, where we had a fully funded shelter that I worked really hard to make sure was funded, that the city needed to close because the neighbors were so upset that there was going to be a shelter next door to their condos. And I think that, you know, the work that people in this room can do is really thinking about what is the availability of affordable housing in your neighborhood. What is the availability of when shelters want to build or to come about in your neighborhood, how you are advocating for and ensuring that there's access to housing for people who may be impacted by the retreats.
Thank you very much. And really appreciate the work that you're doing. It's critical during this time that we're living through. Yes. I want to shift now and talk to the ambassadors because what makes ISP so powerful isn't just what happens on retreat or in the reflection circles. It's what continues afterwards. This community grows and leads together. So Reggie, I'm going to start with you. Thinking about your own journey, I'm hoping that both of you would be willing to share a moment when something began to shift for you from maybe isolation and loneliness to belonging or a sense of home.
Well, first of all, let me say I'm glad to be here. And I need a little juice.
Little juice, little juice.
Yes. Testing. First of all, let me say I'm very proud to be part of ISP. Proud to be an ambassador. And could you ask the question again?
Can you share with us a moment when something began to shift, when you went from loneliness or isolation to like a sense of home or belonging?
Yeah, I got a good example of when it shifted. Well, as he mentioned, I went to my first retreat back in 2022. That's when the time that I had decided to get clean from drugs and alcohol. First, a little history. I've been to the penitentiary 5 times. I've been living on the streets up until the last 5 years, 10 years of my life. And it was my choice. I didn't have to. I have a family, but I chose to because I was shame and guilt. I had shame and guilt built up in my life. So I didn't want my family to see me like I was, so I hid. I became homeless. I went to prison and all kind of things. But back to the question. I was staying at the Salvation Army 6 months after I got clean, and one of the guys from ISP, and he's here now, his name is Peter, came there and invited me to a retreat. I didn't expect nothing. I just, wanted to get out the building for a minute, I guess. But going to this retreat, I felt a sense of something, I don't want to get into spiritual planes or talk about my God. I don't want nobody, to reflect on nothing like that, but it was God. But something happened. I became very open to the fact that since God was helping me, I needed to help somebody else. And so I wanted to explore this ISP thing, and I did. And believe me, I'm experiencing, still on the journey, I'm experiencing the best thing that ever happened to me. And it's not nothing that was given to me. It's something that I'm giving of myself. So I'm not alone. All these people around me today, thank you, Christine, for inviting these people out to places like the Salvation Army, the Boulevard, all kind of places that people are homeless. We can stay there for a while, but we don't have a home. But if we do some work, it's possible to have a home. Is that good enough?
That's amazing. So proud of you. It's amazing.
Okay. Check. There we go. Okay, just making sure. So I have struggled with addiction for many, many years, and I realized at a treatment center that I was at that I could put down the substances, but the trauma, the hurt, the pain that I was experiencing, I rejected anything that was anything spiritual. And I was walking in the hallway and I look up and there's a sign up sheet for a spiritual retreat. And like Reggie, I was like, yes, I get out of here. You know, I'm going to have a great time, not expecting it to completely change my life. And I was at this retreat. I had amazing women that all walks of life, people from different recovery centers and treatment centers, you know, we all came together. And during the retreat, we have this story from Healing and Memories. And I was like, ooh, I'm not gonna open up. I don't know these people. And there was a story of the cracked pot. And it basically was this guy, you know, every day went from the master's house to the river and had two pots. One was cracked and the other one was perfect. And, you know, back and forth for days on end, days on end. And the cracked pot, you know, talked to the servant and said, you know, I don't know why you use me. I barely get the water up to the house. You know, I can't stay full. I have a huge crack in my side. How can you even find value in me? And he said, do me a favor. He goes, when we're walking back, he goes, look at the walkway, look at the pathway. And do you see all these beautiful flowers? They're only on your side. He's like, I knew your imperfection and I chose to use you and your imperfections to make this beautiful display of flowers that I take up to the master's house and I keep it on the table. And it showed me, like, I just had this awe-inspiring moment and I'm like crying and it's ugly and there's no saving myself at all. And I opened up, and that crack in me, that imperfection in me, I can be used for good. The years that I was dark in my addiction, the years that I had hatred and anger and all those negative emotions, like, I could be used for something good and have a purpose. What? And I don't need a substance or a person or, you know, something to make me better when I'm great as is. You know what I mean? And it was just at that retreat that ISP, you know, 360 or 180, how does it go? It's a full circle, you know, changed my life to where I have an unshakable faith in my higher power, that no matter what I'm going through, I have people not only in the recovery field, but in ISP. We have a sisterhood and a brotherhood that is out of this world, and you would never expect us to all get together and be together. I love each and every one of you, and I'm just so grateful and so thankful for ISP and, you know, the sponsors and the people that pour into us. I mean, Christine, everybody on the executive team, the bigwigs, like, you guys make us feel special, okay? And it's great. So I just thank you. And this program is life-changing, and I just hope I can bring it to others so that they can get the experience that you know, we may have fallen, but we can get back up, and with our imperfections, we can water some flowers, y'all. So thank you.
Beautiful, really beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I don't know about you, but I would like to hear from these two for all night. So I'm going to ask a follow-up question. So Reggie, talk about, so you had this experience of transformation through the retreat. Yeah, I'm going to give this one to you because it works better. What has it been like since then?
Well, it's been some trying times, but it's been a beautiful path. Helping others is you know you ever heard the phrase "the gift is in the giving"? It truly is. My partner in ISP, me and Pete, and I hope you're not mad. I'm mentioning you, Pete. He's a good guy, Pete. We have the ability to go to places where we select. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it. Okay. Where we select or recruit candidates to go to our retreat. And now I think I'm officially a leader, right? Because I'm finishing my ambassadorship this weekend, so I'm official, right? But having the ability to go to places and I'm glad that you're here, because it's a lot of homelessness in these places, and knowing where they're coming from, because I've been there, it's a privilege to go in and let them know that there's hope. Because if they don't see it, they can watch Zoom or they can get on a broadcast or whatever. But if they see me in person and I give them my heart, maybe they can receive my heart and listen carefully what I'm trying to say. God is, and all we have to do is look up and we can get up. Is that good enough?
Better than good.
How do I follow up that? Like, what was the question again? What was the? Oh, okay. So since I've started this journey, you know, I'm not perfect. And it's one of those things that I grow every day. So it's brought me to being a better human, a better sister, a better daughter, and probably my most cherished, now that I am clean and sober, my most cherished role is being a mom. And it's brought me closer. Thank you. It's brought me closer with my daughter, and I just hope and pray that she knows that no matter what happens, you can always get up. You can always get up. There's always something positive and beautiful about each and every day. It's just how you make it. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Christina, I'll put you on the spot here. As you listen to their stories, if you listen to these two, what jumps out at you and how does that connect to the work that you're doing?
So as I listen, I recognize and hope that we get to a point someday where everyone has a home, and that that ISP is able to really focus on providing retreats for folks that are housed, right? And that the impact that housing has on, and that we can get there. So homelessness is a solvable problem. It's something that if we have the amount of a political will collectively, that we say that we should live in a society in one of the wealthiest times in history, that everyone should have a home, then we can make that happen. We've seen that in communities across the country where they have sufficient resources to be able to end the homelessness experience for people, where everyone who reaches out for a resource, there's a resource on the other side. And we see that within the health fields all the time. I have a child who has a chromosomal disorder she was diagnosed when she was 12 years old. And when she was diagnosed, we had a whole series of supports that surrounded her. There's a specialty clinic at Lurie. There are specialty supports that she receives from her school. She received medications that were approved in 6 days that cost $40,000 a year. So there was a whole safety net of supports in our moment of crisis that existed for a medical condition that probably 5 people in this room have ever heard of. However, all of us know someone who has experienced a housing insecurity, and we do not have a safety net that supports people when they are having a housing crisis that is funded at scale. So I think that so my hope is that we are able to collectively work together to demand more of our society, to demand more of our government, to demand more of our own communities, to be welcoming to housing opportunities for folks when they need it, so that I can not have this job and do something else. And that folks don't have to experience the traumas of experiencing homelessness. Homelessness itself is a traumatic experience for folks, and it's 100% preventable. So that's what I hear is what is our vision of someday no longer having the focus of the ISP be on homelessness and recovery, but really just focused on recovery.
So I believe that we have homelessness, and I'm going to quote Mother Teresa here, but she said about another issue, but it's true that we have homelessness because we've forgotten that we belong to one another, and that we're all on this journey we're here on this earth to walk each other home to wholeness and healing. And we benefit when we are in relationship, when we're sharing our imperfections and our stories with one another, and we realize that we're all on the same journey heading to the same place. I want to thank these 3 for their courage that it took to get up here and speak. You did a great job, all 3 of you. It was very moving, and I feel like I speak on behalf of everyone here. We're better people because you shared with us tonight. So thank you very much. The founder of Bill Could have ever imagined that when he began this journey to try to bring a relationship with the homeless, that this would take root in so many different communities, 20 across the country, and grow through these partnerships. Tonight, we're honored to recognize one of those partners with the Company of Grace Award, which goes to the outstanding champion of ISP and who shares an unequivocal commitment to inclusivity, companionship, and the possibility of recovery. For over 15 years, Ignatian House Jesuit Retreat Center in Atlanta has been a place where ISP retreats and reflection groups have been woven into the life of their community. Their commitment to spiritual care, to accompaniment, and to the creating of space for healing is extraordinary. We're deeply grateful for the ways they have carried this work forward. Let us take a moment to learn more.
You come into an oasis in the middle of the city that's got 20 acres of beauty. And for those who are in recovery houses or a bit out on the streets, coming to a place of welcome and hospitality the space and the place, the people who greet you, all create a space of safety and warmth and a deep sense of care and commitment by those who are around.
They have a private room with a private bath that many of them had never experienced. There's a gift on their bed, and there's a little bouquet of flowers. As it begins to transfer them from the busyness and the chaotic life they lead in the recovery centers, and it starts that calming, it starts that welcoming, it starts them feel like they belong.
What brought me here was finding a little peace of mind, trying something new and different outside the box, out of my regular norm. And I found some genuine people that was authentic in their feelings and really cared about what my future was like.
ISP helps us see all people, because what is true and real for all of us, and is most especially true for those who are on their journeys of recovery, is to know that they're loved and that they are themselves indeed special and beloved.
The relaxation, the peace, the being able to sit still and just hear my brain and my heart beat. A peace of mind, being able to stop beating myself up where I can let things calm down inside my head, where I can think about making steps forward, the little steps that make the bigger steps, to make the bigger picture.
There's one woman in particular, and I'll call her Lacey, that I encountered here on the ISP retreat. She arrived, didn't talk a lot, and during one of our first presentations and discussions on fear versus trust, she just broke down in tears. And I asked her if she wanted to share what was upsetting her with the small group, and she did. She shared some very intimate parts of her past, and she said, "I don't know what it is about what occurred, but this is the first time that I have felt safe to share these things. I felt that I belonged to a group, and I felt that God really did love me." Believing that she is never alone, that God is always with her. And the beauty of it is it has motivated her recovery. She's got a job back. She's reconciled with her son. She's happy to be part of a recovery community.
I'm also trying to be a people pleaser, taking care of everybody else but myself. ISP's taught me I gotta first take care of myself before I need to take care of my mom, my dad, my daughter, my grandchild. It's okay to say no. It's okay to let people know how you're actually feeling.
Perhaps the thing we are most proud of is what has been born of ISP here, called Kitchen Kura. And the Kura, the care of the whole person.
It led me to a nice internship with Kitchen Cure. It also gave me opportunity to get back the frame of mind of working a 9 to 5 back in society. It became a team where it felt rewarding. It made you feel self-worth.
I hope that it catches on in many, many more cities, because we realize that wherever we go, there is such a need for those who are moving through recovery, or needing space and a place in which to recover and to be loved and brought forth into a big human family, so that less and less people even need this, because more and more people are finding themselves whole.
And it means a lot to save lives. It's a very well-deserved reward for Ignatius House.
We know that our friends at Ignatius House are watching us via live stream tonight. Can we show them a lot of ISP gratitude for them? This kind of powerful transformation that we just witnessed doesn't happen on its own. It happens week by week and year after year in Atlanta and in over 20 cities across the United States, because people say yes to being involved and being a part of it. To keep this momentum going, though, we rely on your we rely on your support. So I'd like to invite two members of the ISP community, Bob Steffen and Kevin Graves, up here for a moment to show how you can be a part of that tonight. Bob and Kevin are they're going to share some exciting news about how your support can be doubled in its impact tonight.
Well, thanks, Father Tim. As you heard, my name is Bob Steffen. I'm a ISP board member, and I feel blessed to be here tonight with Kevin Graves, who's one of our ambassadors of hope and also a fellow member of the advisory council that we have in San Diego, California. Glad to represent the West Coast here tonight. I've been involved with ISP for many years, and I think what we experienced tonight is just the blessing and power that I've heard time and time again. I've been lucky in my life. I've moved a lot of different places, and so I've seen concretely the transformation that occurs in places from Chicago to Boston, Orange County to Cincinnati. It's such an amazing thing to witness as you heard tonight the results of how people's lives are touched. What more powerful thing is there than to know how we are loved and cared for as we are? We're up here tonight to help ISP reach an important goal: to raise $125,000 to support ISP's program and alumni leaders. And the good news is we're already 60% of the way there. Right? So pressure's off. So tonight our goal is to raise $50,000, and looking around this room, I know that that is one that we can achieve. We also have some additional great news that a generous donor has committed $25,000 as a matching gift. So this means that every dollar you donate tonight will be doubled. What an amazing opportunity that is.
I just want to say this work does matter so very much. I know from personal experience, your personal love. I had this wonderful blessing of sitting with some of the board of the directors at a gathering, and it was wonderful to give my story, and they gave their story, and it was awesome to hear it. I spent a good part of a week at a couple of facilities, Father Joe's Village, who we love. It's a homeless shelter. It's one of the biggest in San Diego. It was a great experience. I also go to a couple of other Veterans Village of San Diego. We go there also to give reflections, all of which it was a good beginning and a good middle section for my recovery. This is a part of my recovery also. You guys, all of you in this room have given me something. I have 5 years clean. And ISP keeps giving and giving and giving, and it's really not for free. So we're asking folks, please help us. Look into your hearts. Like I said, we do these RL. San Diego is really busy. We have a lot of Latino in our community, so we're reaching out and we're building that service there. You know what? This isn't a complicated thing in the sense, but the complication does set forth when we want to bring these people in, the people that want to be a part of a new life, both mentally and physically. So when you're in the shelter, I stayed at a shelter. I just got out a year and a half ago and went back home to my wife of 28 years. You know? And it's been wonderful. I was able to go to retreats. I was able to learn how to love myself, and how to take that love to someone that was hurt just like me, just not loving life at all. but I'm learning. I have a great friend who comes with me, the companion, Larry Broding, who's a part of it. He has taken me everywhere and given me so much. There's so much love and so much knowledge that I'm able to come up here and stand here proudly as an ambassador. I mean, really proud, humbled. The ambassadors, you guys that have no idea how much love I have for all of you. Like they say, and I love when I hear this, what ISP offers is a space. When I say space, it's physical and mental. You're at a shelter and you don't have much space, especially when you're with 300 guys, not much space to have. At the same time, in that space you do have, and ISP helps you to open that space, enjoy that space that you're giving. Finally, to enjoy love of yourself. And you learn to love others. And ISP gives you that space. When we go to retreats, we don't force people. Like it says, we don't evangelize or preach. From my side of it, it's God's spirit comes down and rocks the room. And these folks stand up and shout, yeah, I know how to love. But like you're saying, like Bob and I are up here to tell you, and you all know, it's not free. There's certain things that, unfortunately, in our society, we have to pay for. But what's cool about ISP is we want to pay for it. We want to pay for that man who's sitting there that I see, that's sitting there on the corner and has nowhere to go, anywhere, and is stuck. I talked to one of my people through ISP, and we sat and we talked, and the key word was stuck. But we're here to help you unstick yourself. That's what our job is. We're here to make sure that you understand. Like I said, we talked this morning, God will meet you wherever you are. Wherever you are. And he's saying, this is your space. Come here and talk to me. So your support is extremely important. And I thank you for just listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. It's, as Kevin was sharing, exactly why your support is so important. And we see here on the screen how a couple ways that you can support ISP. First, and I'll say too, is to make sure that all of our people watching online know that you can text ISP to 345-345, or you can scan the QR code on your screen, or is also listed in your program. When you do that, you'll get an option to either donate now or to pledge your support. And I'm excited to see that I look out, and in a public event, you don't always want to see a lot of people on their phones, right? But this is one of those cases. It's great to see some people on their phones, perhaps digging to find a credit card or enter some numbers, because that is what we are asking for right now. This is the type of support that we need. You can also, if you're not ready to donate immediately, you can fill out the form to pledge your support, and you'll receive a link, and we can follow up with you about your support at a later time as well. I think it also would be helpful to, maybe I can just show some of the concrete ways that your donations make a difference here. You see it on the screen. $3,000 is what it takes to cover an overnight retreat for 12 people. We can take, we have over 100 retreats a year, and your generosity can make an entire retreat possible. $1,500 covers a 2-day leadership retreat for 2 ISP alumni, just like the ones that our ambassadors of Hope have been attending, that Kevin and others have been at. $500 powers the work that makes a retreat possible, the outreach, the team support, the volunteer, the alumni formation. Just $250 will cover room and board for 1 retreat participant. $150 supports 6 spiritual reflection sessions at a partner shelter, and a gift of $50 provides hospitality items for one overnight retreat. Every one of these gifts creates a real, tangible moment of connection and possibility. Your support makes that happen. ISP is entirely supported by people like you. Your gift tonight extends the invitations that Kevin and the ambassadors of hope that we heard from before are offering, are hoping for, are experiencing. And it goes even further because this work is led by volunteers. People across the country who give their time and presence to make each retreat and reflection possible. Your generosity joins theirs. So, if you're able, we hope that you are able to make a gift, a contribution to support the powerful work of ISP. Your gift tonight is an investment in someone's next chapter, in their healing, in their story, in their future. Thank you for being part of the ISP movement and for your generosity. Thank you.
I want to thank you for your generosity tonight. I want to thank a couple of people from the team. This wasn't part of the script. They would never put this in the script, but I want to thank Christine and Catherine and Allison and Jose, who did an amazing job tonight. And do an amazing job every day. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Bob and Kevin. Just a few notes of business for those people here in the room. I ask your indulgence. You people are online for just a few minutes for logistics here. The silent auction will be closing at 8:30. We're going to have some dessert, coffee, and the bar opening back up until 8:30 for a little conversation and give us time to finish our bidding. Our very own ISP chauffeurs, Shelley and Jim, will be providing rides to the parking structure at Ada and Carroll from 8:30 to 8:50. Before we close, I want to come back to where we started with those names that you wrote down when you arrived, the people who have been a light in your life. In a moment, I'm going to invite you to pick up the candle that you found when you sat down. And as you do, just take a second or two to remember that person. Talking about tonight, belonging, dignity, being seen, being healed. It often begins in a simple act of presence. The way someone walks with you, like Rusty, my sponsor, walks with me. What we know here at ISP is that those small lights don't just stay with one person. They spread from one life to another and from one story to another. So right now, I ask you to light your candle and think about carrying that light forward. For someone in the room, you just simply switch on the light. For those at home, if you have it handy, you can scratch off the flame on your ISP candle that arrived in the mail. Perhaps you can keep that flame in a place where you can see it and remember our time together. For us in the room, feel free to either take your candle home with you, or if you'd like, you can place it on the table by the door as you leave. We'll collect them and use them throughout the year at retreats and spiritual reflections as a reminder of the power of our wider ISP community. Thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight. If anything happened tonight that has resonated with you, I have a simple invitation: stay connected. Stay connected to ISPs. Stay curious. Stay open. Allow our stories to help us become better people. I want to thank ISP staff again for inviting me. It has really been an honor to be here with you tonight, and to be part of this movement of walking each other home. Thank you. God bless.